sedately, really. The landing of it, I don't think Martin had even realised that he'd gone above the horizontal within the tackle. To me, Martin just got it a little bit wrong. I think he was a little bit low in the tackle on a lighter man, so ended up lifted him more than he'd realised. But Liam Moore handled it really well, I thought, that flashpoint. I guess you probably have a different view. You probably think it should have been a yellow card.
I thought like Phil Clark, he was lucky not to get a yellow card for it. And I think if it hadn't been a grand final, I think he probably would. To be honest, I was.
Do you think if Reece Martin got a yellow card, then LMS should have got a yellow card the way he ran in and bumped into the touch judge and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I certainly think that I was as much annoyed by Martin dropping with his forearm onto Lomax's head after he dumped him on the floor as I was by the tackle itself. And I think the combination of the two warranted a yellow card. That was my opinion.
I have to say I didn't notice the way he landed on top of him, so I can't say because I don't remember it. But
I may have watched it back a time or two more than you, Mark.
Maybe so. I think the incident escalated with Wellesby and LMS rushing in like they did. But that's what I think Liam Moore handled particularly well.
Yeah, he did.
He definitely calmed it down, pulled it all back around. I think the tackle itself just warranted a penalty. But I think the occasion and the way and the reactions and all of the emotions and that sort of thing was what could have made it all go differently. And I think Liam Moore handled that really well as far as I was concerned. LMS actually got a grade B contact with match official 1 match penalty notice for kind of basically he ran in, didn't he? Got involved with a Leeds player and in wanting to get involved with another Leeds player, kind of ran into the touch judge a little bit, Jack Smith as well. But
yeah, I think the incident. I think he got hold of the referee's arm to point something out to him, and that's what he actually got banned for.
Oh right, okay. So he made touch with it. He contacted the referees more than one time then. So he's been lucky to just get one game then. But I think, like I say, it was managed pretty well, and I don't think that had a carryover, did it? It didn't have a carryover into the game, because even though there was that penalty straight away after for the high tackle, when the guy was returning the missed kick, no, there wasn't a rushing in of people, there wasn't a big kicking off. So obviously, what Liam Moore had done worked really well there.
Yeah, I thought. And I think to be honest, given the stakes were so high, unlike last year was a bit fractious at times.
Because Matauti could have got a yellow card in that one, couldn't he?
Really, the only flashpoint. I think the rest of the game was played in a very good spirit, very hard, and obviously some penalties, some high shots, and so on and so forth. But nothing really egregious from either team. I thought.
No, there was a grade A dangerous contact 1 match penalty charge on Morgan Knowles, and if I'm honest with you, I can't remember the incident that it was for. So
it was a step late.
A late tackle, yeah. I could have guessed that.
It was a step late. The other one that I thought was a bit iffy was Blake Rasputin Austin. Hanging on to Johnny Lomax's leg when Lomax was trying to get up and play the ball, and Lomax limped away from that. His leg got twisted. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I thought Austin was quite high energy in the game.
Yeah,
but I don't.
House was how I was describing it.
I do remember the incident, but I don't remember seeing a replay that had any kind of indication that he'd actually done anything like to twist it. Like it wasn't a case of that's where he's had to tackle him and that's how he's landed, rather than like him.
I think what happened, the way the disciplinary put it was that Lomax's getting up was what twisted his leg.
Which doesn't sound unreasonable to me, because like I say, I didn't see a replay that showed Austin doing anything. So after that missed penalty, and then Leeds got out of their own end through a penalty, that's kind of, like you say, a bit of a period of time where maybe Saints were slightly rattled. Leeds were doing quite well. This is where the other side of Lomax's brilliant performance came in. This was the Lomax try-saving period. He made one on Richie Myler when he had kind of a half break through the line, and then the next play, I think it was the tackle on Sutcliffe on the goal line when Sutcliffe was trying to fight his way over to put the ball down, basically. I think Tommy Makinson helped in both tackles. He was kind of the second man in both times as well to help Lomax out. But really strong individual moments of defence from Saints on those occasions that kept the score like 12-0 at that point.
Yeah, that's right. And that Lomax tackle, the first one where he picked up Myler shooting through the line and just managed to stretch and tackle, that was right after the tackle where he'd come away limping. So it was an extra special effort, I think, to sort of be able to shrug that off and get him down. And Leeds played really well at this stage, and having sort of stayed in the game, not let it stretch out to 3 scores. They came back hard, and in the end got the just rewards because they put Saints under a lot of pressure. They got over the line on a few occasions, were held up, and then they came up with quite remarkable bit of play, actually.
The most exciting period to play in the game, I think. The most exciting try of the game.
Yeah, so it was a really... I'm not sure you'd get away, you'd be able to do it again, but it was remarkable the way he managed to pass the ball away just before stepping over into touch. I don't know about you, Mark, but I was surprised when I saw the team that he didn't have Leeming playing in the halves from the off rather than Smith.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised about that too. And Dwyer just sat in the stands. But
yeah.
I had seen something in the week that suggested Leeming maybe wasn't fully fit. And so I think that's why he went with the Smith choice. I think he made the right choice not moving Myler. I know later on in the game in the second half when they were chasing it and they wanted more ball players on the pitch, they did put Myler in the half and Hardacre moved to full back. And that stunted their attack as much as it always does. But when Hardacre was in the centre on this particular play, he actually took advantage of what was some really, really poor, soft defensive attempts from St Helens, actually, leading to that good break from Hardacre in the play before the play that the try was scored on, because that's what got them into the field position, wasn't it? And it was Lomax, actually, again, that came out and cut Hardacre down from that break. But then the next play is the play you're talking about, where I thought Leeds had gone the wrong way by going down the short side. But
so did I. I thought we had them, mate. I thought we got them in touch. So I was kind of surprised, and it took a sort of a look back at the replay to see how we'd managed to smuggle the ball back, and then they'd recycled it across.
Yeah.
Because the next thing I looked up and they were attacking the line.
Yeah, well, there was some great offloads and really good willingness to support and stay alive in the play from the other players as well. And then it ended with what you were talking about, the nice pass from Cameron Smith that just evaded the defender, and then Leeming. It wasn't a straightforward finish either. He did a lot to get that ball down.
Yeah, it took a lot of strength and some real awareness to keep the ball up, because I thought at one moment we were going to get his arm on the floor and it would be a double movement, but it wasn't. It wasn't. He did really well. And then kicked the goal nicely. And
that was the goal that set the record at 37. I think it was lost a bit in the wash with the excitement of the score and it being half time and Leeds still being in the game at half time, where for the first 25 minutes they were not.
Yeah. So I think that was a bit of a shock to the system, because we'd felt like we'd been really in control of the game, and even though Leeds had attacked well, we hadn't buckled, towards in the second quarter. So it was a bit of a shock to the system to go in only 12-6 up when we felt like we'd been sort of, right on top of the game. And it was clear at that point the next try was going to be absolutely critical.
Was there any of you sort of feeling like there was any similarity to the Wigan game with Leeds the week before, how Wigan hadn't, and Catalans the week before that as well. Both Wigan and Catalans had been
Yeah,
dominant in the first half against Leeds, but hadn't pushed that dominance through to a clear scoreboard advantage. And it felt like St Helens should have been 2 scores clear at half time, but
yeah.
for Leeds scoring that incredible try, it was only a 1-score lead at half time. So did you have any worry about that?
Yeah. I mean, it was clear that Leeds have got that ability to, from the previous 2 weeks to hang in a game and then get themselves back into, contention. And, this was no different. But I felt we'd played well. And so I still felt with playing well that if we continued to play well, we'd win the game. I felt we ought to be able to ride this through and come back. But nevertheless, we were, talking amongst ourselves at half time, said the next try is going to be really, really important. If we get it, then we're back completely in control of the game. If they get it, then it's, everything's on.
Ultimately, the way it rolled out is probably half time came at a good time for St Helens, even though Leeds went in buzzing from that score, because they didn't carry that over into the start of the second half. St Helens were the better team, weren't they? And within 5 minutes or so of the start of the second half, you had your third try, you had that 12-point lead again, and Conrad Hurrell basically having more fight than 4 Leeds defenders had in them.
Yeah, which was, he's done that a few times this year. Blake Austin had a bit of a nightmare start to the second half, or Rasputin as I now like to call him. A bit of a nightmare start to the second half. He gave away a high shot penalty that got us piggybacked us downfield, then gave away a 6 again. Near the line,
stupid 6 again.
A massive one. It was right near the end of the set.
It was so idiotic because it was so obvious.
It was. There was no need for it. So he really helped us to keep the screw turned down. And then Hurrell, did one of the things he's done consistently well all year, really, and showed some great awareness of where he was versus the line. Kept the ball up, and just managed to find a way to get his arm down. I mean that for me was back. We were back totally in control of the game again at that point. It felt like that's okay again now. That felt like we'd got back the scoreboard that we ought to have had at half time.
Yeah, but
didn't have.
Yeah, from there, from being back in control, I think the game was yours to lose then. 10 minutes later, I kind of, unless there was going to be something incredibly special in the last 20 minutes from Leeds, the game was over with the Percival try from another short Wellesby kick. And the kick was good, but I think the run from Percival was what made it. It was fantastic.
Yeah. He was running before Wellesby had kicked the ball because he knew what was coming next. And Leeds were caught flat-footed. I
think everyone was caught flat-footed other than Percival. It felt like he was the only player on the pitch who thought that something was on, and Wellesby reacted to his run as much as anything else.
Yeah,
he absolutely stormed through.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. We've not... I might be wrong, it's just my impression, but I don't think we've had a good short kicking game all year. So it's really only the last 2 weeks that this short kicking game seems to have emerged. I'm not quite sure where the hell it's come from, but it's been very effective.
Yeah, I think if you look back, there'll have been other instances during the season, but like you think about short kicking games this year, and you're thinking Huddersfield, aren't you? As much as anyone.
Absolutely.
Rather than necessarily St Helens, but absolutely bang on. Probably because of being conscious as well of the size of the in goals, maybe, and what you need to do to deliver in those in goals at Old Trafford, and how you need to get things timed up right and stuff. I don't know, and obviously that was scored right in front of the St Helens fans, that try, and it it seemed like a big release in the crowd as well, almost like party time was starting.
Yeah, I'd certainly say at that point